Misty rain roughed.
But if you hit like a bicycle with this thing with the fist, he just die.
So, if you guys need me, just message me, okay? Because I'm gonna turn my hearing off.
Okay, Shane.
Once clear of the bay, Cole swam even harder. Misty rain roughed the water as waves washed over his head. When he stopped to rest, his breath came in ragged gasps. His numb limbs felt wooden and stiff, moved awkwardly as if disconnected from his body. Cole turned to look back. At first, his mind rejected what he saw. He was still at the mouth of the bay. He shook his head to clear the illusion, but it was no illusion. This was the same spot he had been 1,000 strokes earlier, but how could it be? The winds and waves hadn't been that strong, yet as he struggled to tread water with his numb limbs, he found himself drifting back towards the shoreline. At that instant, Cole realized his mistake. Oh, nice. His anger had so clouded his thinking, he hadn't even considered the incoming tide. With every stroke forward, a giant invisible hand had pushed him back 2 strokes backward into the bay, returning him toward the shore. A sharp cramp gripped Cole's leg. Then his other leg started cramping. He gasped for breath and panicked. He had to make it back to land, any land. Frantically, he flailed at the water. Struggling did little affect Cole's movement, but on the incoming tide he steadily drifted closer to the shore. He only fought to keep his head above water. When the rocky bottom bumped against his feet, he kept thrashing his lifeless limbs. Again and again, his feet struck the rocky bottom and pain shot up his legs. Finally, he quit fighting and let the waves push his body into shallow water. A wave broke over his head and became out gagging and spitting salt water. He tried to lift himself, but his arms collapsed. Finally, only using his elbows, he squirmed and crawled his way back onto the slippery rocks and onto the grassy ground above the tide line. Then he lay spent and shivering, his body bruised and his cold skull throbbing in the rhythm with his heartbeat. Cole lost all time and struggled to think. All he could do was conjure up fleeting notions. He couldn't stand up. He needed warmth. It was almost dark. He felt pain. One thought repeated. He needed warmth. He knew there was no warmth, but yet he still remembered flames. Where's the flames? He had to find them. Cole tried to stand up, but his legs collapsed under him. Imagine a fire, dragging his way forward again on his belly, his legs pulled behind him like worthless anchors. It was hard in the gathering darkness to make out shapes. The waves, the shoreline, the trees, the bay, all existed like parts of a puzzle.
Get it. Whoa, that guy just got killed.
Is it too loud?
Why can't I get in my own car?
Is it too loud?
I can't get in.
Hello?
Oh, it's trying to shoot you.
Hello?
It won't let me in! Hold up.
Is it too loud?
I actually give you ownership. There we go. What? Here, wait. Get back in.
Is it too loud?
No, there it is.
Okay.
Here, get in!
You have to unlock it.
I put it to everyone, though. It's not even locked. Here, get in.
Cole rested again until the throbbing in his head had disappeared. His head felt hollow, his mind empty. One detached thought kept coming back to him. There had been flames, but where? Night had come quickly, and Cole scanned the dark shadows around him, sensing a vague familiarity. Again, he tried to stand, but couldn't. He dragged himself forward one last time, then collapsed. Slowly, the cold disappeared. Lying belly down in the darkness, Cole felt his legs and chest sting as if they were on fire. Then, he became aware of another feeling, stronger than any burning in his arms and belly, more haunting than the darkness that surrounded him. It was the realization that he was alone, totally alone with himself. It scared him. Sometime during the night, Cole drifted into a fitful sleep. When he awoke, darkness had still hid the island. His first conscious sense was all ached. Vaguely, he remembered burning the supplies and shelter, then trying to escape by swimming ashore. There had been terrible cold, then more crawling. Then he recalled his skin burning. After that, a damning loneliness. Cole breathed in the cold, damp night air. Where was he now? The air smelled of salt, seaweed, and something burnt. Then he slumped again. When he awoke the next time, dawn had crept into the sky. Lifting one arm, he found it covered with black ash. He was lying nearly naked, squarely
and then call it the Among Us crewmate.
In the ashes of the burned shelter. He gathered his strength and struggled to his feet. The world seemed to tilt and spin. In the dawn, light billowy clouds mounted the far horizon like snowdrift. The warm ash stuck to the raw scrapes on Cole's chest and legs. Blood crusted his elbows and knees, and his dry mouth kept him from swallowing. Every joint in his body ached. As he wavered on weakened legs, Cole became aware of presence, not movement, only a lurking presence. Grimacing, he searched the trees and shore. At first nothing appeared or out of place, then something large and white, broke out a smooth pattern of the shoreline. He squinted, and the image cleared. A bear. A white bear. Out across the water, on the point of a shoreline near the opening of a bay, a massive white bear stood as motionless as a statue, facing him. Morning light glinted off in its shiny white fur and made it glow. The bear stood patiently, proud, nose forward, ears alert. Cole kept blinking his eyes. Could this possibly be one of the spear bears Edwin had spoken of? He said they had lived hundreds of miles on south on a different island. Yet, what else could it be?
Yeah, he's dead. Make sure he's dead, though. I don't think you can do it while you're sitting still.
Shivering only in his underwear, Cole crouched and picked up a rock. The spear bear didn't have any right to stare at him. It didn't have pride, dignity, or honor like Edwin had said. It was just a mangy animal. Cole flung the rock, even though the bear was nearly a quarter mile away. "Keep staring, I'll kill you," he shouted. What really angered Cole about the bear was that it stood there, frozen on the shoreline without any fear. It defied him. He stood around looking for some kind of weapon. In the ashes, he spotted the black charred blade of a hunting knife from one of the boxes. He picked it up and turned back towards the spear bear. It had disappeared. Cole searched the trees, but the bear was gone. Puzzled, he tossed the knife back onto the ground. "If I ever see you again, you're dead," he vowed. "I'll teach you to be afraid of me." As he turned back towards the ashes, another bright object caught his attention. Not 10 feet away from the colorful blue-red blanket. Oh, not 10 feet away lay the colorful red and blue blanket Garvey had given him. What do you call it? Atwu?
Well, you can. Oh, do it.
Hold
on. I gotta get a jump.
It rested near some tall grass, completely untouched by flames. Cole picked it up and examined it with his sore fingers. How he had missed when he threw the Atwu into the flames. Shrugging, he wrapped the blanket around his shoulders. He hobbled on his bruised feet down to where he had left his shoes and clothes. Cole felt no regret for having burned the supplies and shelter, nor did he regret hurting Peter. This was all somebody else's fault. If it weren't for his parents, Peter, and the stupid healing circle, he wouldn't have even been here. Somebody would pay for what's happening. He would get revenge, especially against those who wanted him in jail, like people like Peter's lady lawyer. He hated her. Cole remembered the first time he had seen her hold the feather in the circle.
Hold on.
She waved it like a wand and pointed it directly at him. "That boy is dangerous," she said. "Next time, he might kill someone. This circle justice has its place, but I oppose any plan that does not isolate Cole Matthews." Cole didn't like someone accusing him. He hated
I have an entire
from the slimeball creep he had used as a punching bag. He hated everything. He hated being around his parents and the high-priced lawyer they had hired for him. The room felt stuffy, and he dug in the woven flat. He dug at the woven fabric at his chair with his fingernail. Circle justice stunk. Each word spoken in the circles kindling, adding to his smoldering anger. Cole must go to jail and get anger counseling, somebody said. He's proved he can't be trusted. Cole is like a risk to our children and to our community, another person in the circle said. We can't risk his release. It was the next voice that made Cole explode. His father held the feather, toying it with his finger. We've always wanted the best for Cole, he said. His mother and I have devoted our lives to him, but he... That's bull! Cole shouted suddenly, although he wasn't holding the feather. You drink until you can't stand up and you're gone all the time. A devoted parent wouldn't whip his kid until a shirt couldn't hide his bruises.
I don't know why you did that. That was a little bit sus. Here, go to the end of the path, and I'll stay here, and then we have to drive at each other at full speed, but then I shoot you.
Am I too loud?
No, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. Is this better?
Alright, let's do it.
Is this better? Alright, okay, go grab Susie. Oh, you gotta go, Alex? Alright, see you.
I don't have enough money to pay for your thing. That was crazy. I'm gonna message Charlie and tell him to get on GTA. When the ancestor is pus.
You're right, though. We do need to acquire
Money.
like the Lester cars,
Yeah.
and we need to make them like we need to.
Oh, I have got.
Wait, how many colors are there in Among Us?
I don't know. I have to look it up.
There's like 10. Oh my god! That was sus. That was sus, bro.
Freaking, I thought you were in. Here, get in the car. The cops are here. Get in, please.
Get in the car. The cops are here. Dude, shut the cops.
They found it. Alright.
They found us. They're
No,
dude.
this
They're
is
the
such-
sheriff pod in Among Us.
Yeah. Wait, see that,
They're
man?
the H2O delirious. They're the H2O delirious baby delirious mod. Dude, you. This slapper's so like unruly. Whenever you move, you have like eyes. Dude.
Dad,
Fucking beating
how's drinking your Fresca? You're drinking your Fresca. That's the snitch.
Uh-oh.
He's drinking your milk.
Dude. No!
Especially for me. I drink the most milk. I think that's
Are you guys ready to...
That was a baby shot.
Are you ready for ball battle racing? What does that car look? That car looks like Down syndrome.
Look at the guy!
Dude, is the car on fire?
Are you ready? Tell me when you're ready. Uh-oh. Oh, it lagged. We hit that guy so hard it lagged. Dang, those tires are strong.
How are we losing them?
Dude.
No. Hey, do you think I can shunt boost the helicopter?
No, I don't know. They're shooting.
This car! Hold on.
Dude, wait a minute. Don't do it. I
Hey,
thought it just...
teleported.
Thought it...
I'm gonna hit the helicopter.
Wonder if you hit it in the right place, if you could clip it under the ground.
I'm gonna try.
Why is there a cop in the barn? The shunt boost is amazing. What if a guy on an oppressor like pulled up
you know
behind
you can put it. You know, like on that giant like semi truck for the arena room. You can put it on that thing.
No way.
Yeah, you can.
still good
You
stores
can, you can even put it on the Weenie Classic, bro.
Yeah.
It's kind of insane.
Yeah, Joseph snitched on me.
Want to go to the casino and gamble?
Wait, he came back! He just did the equivalent of sweeping the leg.
Dude, did you see that grind? I'm about to do it again. Mark the casino.
It's literally just down the road.
I could also trade out the shunt boost for like a really powerful boost, like an nitro boost, but I don't want to. The
Shunt boost is too funny.
Oh, let it! Yeah, once Charlie actually comes back, I say we do the Shio Calicio.
We shunt boost him.
Yeah. See this man?
Over.
Huh? I was trying to shunt boost.
You were supposed to jump. Uh-oh. The shunt boost didn't work that well. It seems it works the best if you just...
Who got me that one?
Oh, the lag!
Yeah, let's get in here. It's a guy in passive mode. I feel like we should be scared. Yeah, you might want to spin the car's pretty cool with the wheel, but I don't care about it, so you might care about it.
I haven't pinned the wheel anymore.
Yeah. Oh, there was this farmer's car on it yesterday. It was the waffle car, and I was trying to win it though, but I just didn't succeed. So then I had to resort to gambling.
Obese 12-year-old left.
No! No!
Dude, that's like a chunky car.
Is Charlie in the basement?
My spit on that one.
Do you have it muted? Because what I'm hearing right now is disturbing.
No, I don't have it.
It's just doom.
I'm just gonna spin it like I normally spin it. There's a
Bro, is that the real skimmed flick?
there's a way you can spin the wheel to get the car every time, but I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get the car. What did I get? $20,000.
My chips, my chips. I'll
I
move
already
to the
have
gambling table.
I already have a bunch of chips, but I'll buy some more. Like I always keep like $30,000 worth of chips.
The only gamble I actually finally learned how to do one of the gambling games. Well, I still don't understand how it works, but I know how to win.
Admire my superiority.
Yes, Alex,
Just
you
meet
should.
me at the table that I'm at, okay? Oh,
Get on.
Are you kidding me?
Get on PS4.
The table that I want to play at is filled up. Oh, there's another one. Yeah, just
Chapter
meet me at the
6.
blackjack table.
Cole's clothes felt damp and stiff when he picked them up for where he left them on the shore. As he struggled to pull them on, he chuckled. He couldn't quit thinking about the circle justice meetings. He remembered how surprised the group had been when he called his dad a liar. Every eye in the group focused on his father, who turned red and stammered angrily. We have devoted our lives to you, Cole. All you care about is you. Cole interrupted. Look how you're dressed. Nobody else here is. That's not true, protested his father. He grabbed Cole's arm roughly, then let it go. He glared at Cole and pointed a feather in his face. You control your mouth, son, or you'll what? Cole taunted. Beat me? Cole's father jumped to his feet. I don't beat you, and you know what? His face flushed red. I've given you swats when you deserve them.
Hey, Genocide, are you
The
there?
keeper stepped forward into the center of the circle and held up her hand.
No, you,
But Cole ignored her.
like, are
You're
you
still
there?
lying, he shouted. You're usually too
Like, per
drunk to
se.
know your own name. Cole knew these words guaranteed him a terrible
Like, is there
beating
a
the next
chance
time he was
that you
alone,
would
but he
be
still
there?
taunted his father with a smirk. He didn't plan on being there any next time.
Alright.
The first chance he had, he would run away. I'm only gonna be talking though, okay. I'm glad my daddy's gonna beat me. Again, the keeper held up her hand for order. But his father raised his voice louder. I've given you every... Nathaniel Blackwood reached up and grabbed Cole's father forcefully back into his seat. The keeper stepped forward and held her hand out for the feather. Please, she said firmly. The gentle calm had left her voice and face. Her chin was rigid. Embarrassed, Cole's father surrendered the feather. The keeper turned and spoke to the whole circle. We must respect the feather. This symbolizes respect for others and respect for ourselves. As if handling a priceless gem. The keeper handed the feather carefully to Cole. Now you may speak. Cole tried to be calm, but his voice shook and his face felt hot. Hello? Oliver? Oliver! Okay. Cole tried to be calm, but his voice shook, and his face felt red hot. We aren't supposed to lie when we hold the feather, but my dad just lied. My parents don't have the time of day for me. I'm just in their way, especially when they split up. I bet my dad can't even tell you when my birthday is. Cole grabbed a deep breath to control himself. He turned to his mother and placed the feather in her lap. Mom, tell Dad how he beats me when he's drunk. Cole's mother dusted the imaginary specks off their dress, then picked up the feather hesitantly. She opened her mouth to speak, but a quick glance at her husband brought the frightened look to her eyes. She quickly passed the feather on to Garvey without saying anything. Garvey held the feather and pursed his lips with a troubled stare. I don't know how life gets so mixed up, he began. Some juvenile delinquent becomes our most successful citizens, while others crowd our prisons. What's the difference? He paused. Cole has will and courage, but he also has ugly anger. So what do we do with him? Does any of us know what caused that anger? And what if those same events happened to each of us? How would we have reacted? He paused for an uncomfortably long time. A muted murmur rippled around the circle. Seriously, Garvey said, turning first to Peter, then to Cole. I don't know how to heal emotional or physical damage. Scars run deep. Garvey stared intently at Cole's father, who sat unflinching. I do know this. Cole isn't the only problem here tonight. He's only a symptom of family in a community that has somehow broken down. If we can't find solutions, we all fail. We all share the guilt, and we all pay a terrible price.
Oh, hey, Alex.
Nobody had any more to say until the feather reached Peter's lawyer. The woman faced Cole directly.
I don't like this book that much. I really wish you would read Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Ayo, you know me? You know me. If you don't remember, I'm Game Boy. Oh, cool. Hey, Game Boy. Welcome to my sensual reading of Touching Spirit Bear by Ben Michelson. We don't know all the reasons for Cole's anger, but we do know he's out of control. Any solution found by this circle must protect society and make Cole totally responsible for his actions. She handed the feather to Peter's mother. Peter's mother also turned to look straight at Cole. Because of you, I have a son now who... Her voice broke. I have a son who has speech and coordination problems. He wakes up at night screaming with nightmares. 5 years, 10 years, even 100 years of jail couldn't change that. But never again should other parents have to worry what's about this happening to a child. Not sending you to jail would be a huge mistake. I done had an identity change. That's cool. Griblets19 is one of my friends, Oliver. Yeah, Game Boy. I've like totally cutted off my contact with like Connor and them. Even Isaac. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Cole sat tight-lipped. The jail talk was getting old. If he was gonna end up in jail anyway, he might as well gone through normal justice and avoided all the circle baloney. Suddenly he wanted out of this place. If there only wasn't a guard waiting in the hallway. Charlie, unmute. Yeah?
Yo, Colin.
Yeah?
Don't do that.
Why I'm reading.
I don't like reading though, I like gaming.
Fine.
I feel like the viewers would like to see GTA.
Well, I'm just waiting for my controller to charge. Anyways, the game's kind of boring now since they just give you free money.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do. I just got 1 million.
I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of a joke though, right? 1 million is nothing in this game, Charlie, and I hope you realize that. Like,
yeah, it's either
no, Charlie, they straight up released a go-kart that's over $1 million.
Yeah, either anything's too expensive or everything's too cheap.
Take a seat, we're gonna gamble. I'm actually gonna start a gambling stream. Hold up, don't start, don't place your bet.
Cole slouched in his chair as the feather was being passed on to Peter. Peter gripped the feather with a tight fist and looked down his lap. When a full minute passed, the keeper walked around and placed her hand gently on his shoulder. Peter, would you like to tell us what you think would make things better again? Peter bit his lip before speaking in a struggling, slurred voice. I think somebody should smash Cole's head against the sidewalk so he knows how it feels. I barely do, and I'm a COD gamer now. Oh, that's cool. I just play with my.
Hey, Charlie, are like mics on your stream?
I don't know. What are you gonna say? The N word?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Genocide, we can gamble now. So where'd you go?
I turned off audio share.
Oliver, why haven't you changed your profile picture?
Uneasy glances followed Peter's comment. Even the keeper's voice sounded tense as she took the feather gently from Peter's hand and returned her place back in the circle.
Bro, I can't hear you over here.
Nice. That's interesting.
I would be able to hear you if he was reading the logo.
Is this better?
Go to my profile on PlayStation.
Genocide, come to the game.
Is this better? Is this better?
Yeah, look at the background.
I think he's already seen it. Is it Reggie?
Yeah, it's just.
Guys, is this good?
Yeah, it's been that way for like a month.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Tonight, raw feelings have been exposed like plowed up ground, she said. But that's when you plant seeds. We now understand the struggle we face.
We were just about to start gambling.
And desire to find a solution. Let's stand and hold hands again. 3 hours after it began, the keeper closed the healing circle with a prayer. Cole stood but refused to hold his parents' hands. He folded his arms defiantly against his chest, causing a break in the circle. Only stood On his left stood a liar who'd beaten him numb, and on his right stood a dressed-up puppet afraid of her own shadow. Cole did not let them hold hands and feel how sweaty they were. He would not let them pretend that they loved him, especially his dad. If the keeper noticed Cole's actions, she did not show it. When the prayer finished, Cole's parents and their lawyers began immediately putting on their coats to leave. Cole's guard entered the room and took hold of Cole's elbow, motioning towards the door. Cole jerked his arm free. "I can walk by myself." With one swift movement, the guard pulled handcuffs from his belt and ripped Cole's wrist around his back. From others, the circle turned to watch. "What's this for?" "You had your choice," the guard said. Before they could leave, Garvey walked up. "You're not buying into the circle stuff, are you, champ?" Cole sneered at Garvey. "So now you read minds, huh?" Garvey shook his head. "Actions speak louder than words." "Whose side are you on anyway?" Cole said. Cole's father, standing nearby, overheard Cole's remark. "Son, this isn't about choosing sides. This is about learning responsibility." Before Cole could answer, Garvey said, "Yes, Mr. Matthews, this is about a responsibility. By the way, when is your son's birthday?" Cole's father gulped a quick breath, and his face grew flushed. Well, birthdays haven't been a very big thing around our house," he stammered. I think it's the beginning of July sometime." Quickly, he turned and left. "Did you hear him lie tonight when he was holding the feather?" Cole asked Garvey. "He wasn't the only one," Garvey said, and headed for the door. Thinking about the Circle Justice meetings brought Cole's anger alive once more. If Garvey or Edwin or anybody else showed their ugly faces on the island now, they better watch out. Cole swatted at the persistent mosquitoes and studied the bay. His only mistake in trying to escape had been forgetting about the incoming tide. Next time, he'd wait till the tide flowed outward. He would use the current to help him carry away from this armpit place. Cole walked over to the small clear stream flowing out from the trees in the head of the bay. The canopy of trees. Vines, deadfall, and undergrowth had formed a wall in dark green vegetation that would have been hard to crawl through. How did the spear bear move like a ghost such through tangled forest? Cole knelt on the slippery rocks and drank until the chalky dryness had left his mouth. Hunger gnawed at the stomach, but he ignored it. If he had to, he'd eat raw fish or grass. He'd eat anything that helped him get off this island. Returning to the ashes, Cole noticed a faint smoke curling from one of the mounds. He carefully digged one from a stick, and then found hot coals. Then he scrounged dry twigs from under the tree branch, steadily blowing till soon coaxed weak flame to life. This time he would leave his body warmth and his belly full of food. Heavy dark shadows crowded the far horizon, but clear sky overhead let the sun bathe the ground with warmth. Cole leaned his head to soak back into the sunshine. Garvey had said this area has tons of rain. What did he know, living in Minnesota? There had been a few light showers yesterday, and during the night, but now the weather was great. For the next few hours, Cole sat on the shore studying the tide. Once the breeze ruffled the tree branches behind them, Cole spun around, expecting the spear bear again. He only saw a couple gray birds hopping among the branches. He snickered at how jumpy he was. What was he afraid of? The spear bear wouldn't show itself, and now that it knew a human was around, is the only one that should be scared. Cole discovered that high tide occurred midday and began flowing out the bay within an hour. He knew that the tide repeated themselves every 12 hours, which meant the next preceding tide would be late in the night. Another one this time tomorrow. Reluctantly, Cole admitted that it would best be leave tomorrow. He wouldn't want to swim at night. He almost wished he would be there to see the faces of Garvey and Edwin, and when they found him gone and everything burned to the ground, his dad's reaction would be even better. "What are you going to do, Dad?" Cole asked aloud, as if his dad's sitting behind him on the rocks. "What are you gonna hit?" Cole knew what his dad hated most about this whole situation was that his son wasn't something that he could be fixed with a lawsuit or a stiff drink. The only solution was to hit Cole harder, and that hadn't helped either. Cole remembered once that he had disobeyed his father and came home late. After being strapped until his skin was raw with welts, he watched in horror as his dad paused and turned the belt around with his big knuckled hands. "You think life's a game? You think life's a game. You think you're in charge. You think I'm a big joke." His father shouted as he started hitting Cole again, this time with the metal buckle end. Again and again, Cole screamed, Don't! I'm sorry I came home late. I'll obey. Dad, please don't. Please don't. Life's not a game. Please stop." As Cole kept screaming, his dad kept hitting him. That night, the only time Cole's mom ever said anything in his defense, she came in the doorway, a drink in her hand. "Honey, you're hurting him," she said. Cole's father spun around to face her. "You mind your own business or I'll use this thing on you." Cole's mother retreated back down the hallway, but the strapping stopped. Cole stood and stretched. Going to an island had seemed like a good idea after being locked up for 3 months. Now it seemed stupid. It was mainly Garvey's fault. After the 5th circle meeting, when Cole had grown frustrated by all the references to jail, he'd finally pleaded with the circle members. "Why can't you just believe me when I say I'm sorry and I won't hurt anyone again?" Peter's lawyer asked for the feather. "All your life, you've lied, manipulated people, and tried to avoid consequences," she said. "There's absolutely no reason to believe that you've truly changed inside." Hello? Hello?
I had one to lunch.
I farted.
Hello, Ellen.
Guys, you know what's unfunny?
What?
I actually have to go to bed.
Oh, well. This week did you play GTA? I have 21 again.
I don't like playing GTA. I'm not creative.
Yeah, I could say the same about your Smash combos.
I'm gonna tear my legs off and get hit by a car.
Wait, what did you just do?
Hello?
I play Smash. Hello. I'm gonna get.
Is this better?
Charlie, can you please read a different book? This one's so boring. Read a diary for 1 through 50. How much do you have? 20.
No. Great, then get rid of me, Cole said. Send me any place where I'm not in your face and can't hurt anyone. But why do I have to go to jail? Cole has a point, said Garvey. Maybe there's some place other than prison. Any place he goes, there will be people he can assault, Peter's mother said. It's not like we can ship Cole to the Arctic Circle. Garvey's face came alive with thought, and he asked for the feather again. I'm a native Tinglet, he said. I was raised in southeast Alaska. It is possible I can make an arrangement to have Cole banished to a remote island on the Inland Passage. This is something First Nation people have done for years, and Cole could go under undergo a vision quest of sorts, an extended time alone to face himself and face the angry spirits inside of him. Would anyone be with him? Asked the keeper. No. Garvey shook his head. Occasionally an elder would check on him. What makes banishment work is the extreme isolation. It allows the offender to spend a long, free period of time, of all friends, time, drugs, alcohol, and other influences that might have gotten them into trouble. It's a time to think. For how long? Asked Judge Tanner. His voice edged with skepticism. Perhaps a year. Peter's mother motioned for the feather. Okay, let's say Cole's sentenced to some island for a year. What happens after that year he hasn't changed? Would he go free to hurt someone else's child? Garvey shook his head. Banishment isn't a sentence. It's simply a time for Cole to walk his talk. We tell him to give more lip service than the idea of change. But what's the chance he doesn't have to prove anything if he's locked up? Sentencing would be delayed until the end of Cole's banishment. Then this same circle could reevaluate him and decide whether he has walked his talk and whether a sentence is still necessary. What do you think of this idea? The keeper asked Cole. Cole shrugged. I've spent a lot of time outside. It's not like I couldn't take care of myself. He turned to Garvey. But could I still end up going to jail after spending a whole year on some island? That'd be totally up to you, Garvey said. If you kept asking for a chance to prove yourself your change, if you have nothing to worry about. Cole tried not to show it, but he was plenty worried. Suddenly, everyone seemed to motion for the feather at once. Rapidly, the feather worked its way around the circle. The air bristled with comments and questions. Finished her closing prayer that night, everyone had agreed that Garvey should explore whether the plan might actually work. After the meeting, Garvey motioned Cole aside. You do know that banishment is much harder than any jail cell, don't you? Then what's the point? Cole asked. If you go to jail, I won't bet a nickel on your future. So what's so hard about living on an island for some while? Garvey smiled knowingly. Go ahead, try it. Try manipulating a store or lying to your hunger. Try cheating the cold. And that is the end of our time. Goodbye, friends.